For the next part of our show, I would like to have some attention because this founder started Gitsy, a company, and the Gitsy is going to disappear. It's now going to be Get Your Guide. And what the future will be of this founder of Gitsy, Edial Dekker, we're now going to hear. Please give it up for the CEO of Gitsy, Edial Dekker. Welcome, Edial, to the show.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
It was, I believe, August 2011 that Gitsy went live.
Yeah.
And now Gitsy is going to fade away.
Yeah, we will. In some ways we will, yeah. In other ways we will not, but yes.
And why have you decided to stop with Gitsy and to become head of mobile of Get Your Guide?
Yeah. So, first of all, it's not just me, right? The whole team, is part of
11 other people.
Yes. So that's one big thing, actually. But yeah, I mean, when we started Gitsy, we were in Berlin for 2 years, and we really wanted to do our own stuff. And I think kind of like the ambition that we always had was to make a huge impact on things, kind of like on our own, kind of like really make a dent in the world, right? So it's a kind of cliche, but yeah, that's kind of like really what we set out to do as a company.
Because Gitsy is a marketplace for authentic experiences.
Yes, exactly.
And you wanted to basically disrupt the whole travel industry,
exactly.
The way how people spend their free time.
Yeah, so it was basically like a peer-to-peer marketplace for activities. So it was not just for travelers, but also for locals. So anyone could organize something, and then you could book those things. And we tried to make that process really, really simple. And we kind of started out as kind of like an Airbnb for activities, so to say, or something like a peer-to-peer marketplace for something. And we found out that it was really difficult, really challenging, for a bunch of things. Like, first of all, we had no idea what we got ourselves into when we started. And that kind of like along the way, we found out that our growth was very much, like the company was changing a lot, actually. Like in the last 6 months, we had like a sales team, and it was not so much peer-to-peer as it kind of like looked like. And we really saw that, and we saw that as a great opportunity. I think that's also kind of what you do, right? You adjust to how situations are. And one of the things, we're moving much closer to another company. And that company was also based in Berlin, actually. And we knew these guys pretty well, because we always kind of like looked at each other and like kind of like, oh, what are these guys doing? What are we doing? And things happened after that.
Yeah, but I mean, Get Your Guide is way bigger than you guys.
Yeah.
The name Gitsy is going to disappear.
Yes.
So you say now, okay, internally we already actually became more of a Get Your Guide, so therefore it's pretty logical to now also be part of that company. At the same time, you really wanted to make Gitsy like the company for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I mean, of course, like when you start a company, I think you always set for the long-term goal, right? And you never expect to like be acquired or like to be part of another company. Like that's not why you start a company, or that is not what we kind of like set out to do. But I think there are some ways, kind of like our goal was always to bring together people around activities, and there was a goal that we started with, and that's why we built Gitsy. But we never wanted to have like a small impact on things. That was also a really big thing. And at some point it was like, what do we do? Like, do we take another round of investment, or can we immediately have a huge impact on so many people and really like making our goal happen, which is bringing together people around activities. Yeah. And that goal hasn't changed. And it was very, very clear where we could also add value within that new company. Yeah. So yeah, it made a lot of sense, and still makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you've basically like sacrificed Gitsy for the bigger purpose.
Well, I mean, the bigger purpose is always to have a bigger impact, I think. So I'm not sure if we really sacrificed it. We're actually moving a lot of like people who are organizing things on Gitsy towards Get Your Guide, for example. And we actually get a lot of things in return too. I mean, Katie from Gitsy, like who was like heading the community of Gitsy, I mean, she's like, it's awesome because we have 100 times or 1,000 times even more impact than we had. And I think that's also kind of like where we really stand. Like it's great to have such a big impact on people's lives, really.
How did you deal internally also with people who are really actually mad at you? That hey, you're shutting down Gitsy. Why do you do that? I mean, come on, try it for 6 months more. We know that you cannot find an investor, but I mean, please do more, do more.
I mean, we actually had investors. So we had current investors wanting to join, and we also had new investors wanting to join, and it was still a choice for us. So that said, kind of I don't know, it's kind of like, it feels like if you it's kind of really weird feeling if you create something that's much, much bigger than you are yourself, actually. Like it was, I mean, of course, like you create something, you want to create something that's much bigger than yourself, you want to feel replaceable and stuff. But with Gitsy, it was very much like we shot, I mean, you know, we kind of announced the news and some things were going to change.
Yeah.
And people thought everything was going to change, which I don't think it's actually the case. And we really strongly believe in what we're doing, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this. But it was really, yeah, super interesting to kind of like get a lot of feedback. I mean, in general, the positive was very, very positive.
Yeah.
And we also, like a lot of like people who actually moved over to Get Your Guide, they're extremely successful now and we're more successful as they were with Gitsy, so that's very great.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you say that you could have had investment if you wanted to. Because, for example, on TechCrunch it said, Gitsy is dead pooling, they don't have any options.
Yeah,
that must have been strange to know that it was different.
I mean, yeah, I mean, with TechCrunch, it's like if you don't give them the news, then you know they will kind of
get
like,
back at you.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's how it goes, I guess. Like, yeah.
That's pretty personal.
It is pretty personal. Yeah, I mean, I think the whole process of like starting a company, hiring people, everything is very personal, right? It always is, and that's great too. Like, that's also what Jan said, right? It is about, in the end, it's about the people, and if that's not real or that's not honest or whatever, then yeah, it is about everything is about people.
Can you name me the biggest takeaway after the past 2 years? What have you learned that you maybe would have done differently?
I mean, I don't know. There's like a bazillion things, right? It's like, yeah, obviously within Gitsy, would have like done things very differently, like, or kind of like sense of like how to grow. Like it was never our ambition that lacked. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
I think our ambition was very, 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 very aggressive and too aggressive. Like we should have scaled slower, for example. We should have like focused more on cities. We should have like be more.
Because in the end you had 40 cities.
Yeah.
And that sounded amazing, but yeah, it's also kind of hard to divide your attention.
Exactly. I mean, setting up the right KPIs is one thing. I mean, there's so many things. Like, I can write a book about it.
Did you even know about KPIs before you started?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, some of them, right? But we didn't know the KPIs for marketplaces, for example, like something like that, or you know, whatever.
And your investors also didn't help you with these kind of things?
Of course, like yeah, everyone. We had great investors also, right? Like yes, of course, yeah.
But I mean, it's for me. I mean, you had Alex Leung and Eric Wildforce as personal friends, so to say, who really helped you through this whole process.
Yeah.
They're still friends, luckily for you. But I mean, how is it then possible that over the course of 2 years that you're kind of so stuck into this process that you cannot step out and really iterate drastically, so to say?
I mean, we did a lot of changes actually within Gitsy. Like that's also some of the things that I know maybe not everyone has seen, but we actually were going through a change like every 3 months, like a lot of them. Like our sales team was them like
yeah, but you didn't
marketing.
say, for example, okay, we have 40 cities now. Shut down 30 cities and focus back to 10.
We did. I mean, we did. Like, we very much focused on Berlin, for example.
Okay.
Like, we did. Like, I think also a lot of those decisions that you make, it's like I said, like sometimes you create something that's bigger than you are, and kind of like it kind of creates its own stories and goes around. But yeah, we were changing a lot, like internally, yeah, for sure, which is natural, I think, as a company.
I think it's awesome that you came here out tonight, and I know that tonight is your last, so to say, Gitsy team retreat.
Yeah.
You're going to leave us also now to go to this team retreat, but I really want to thank you for coming out and sharing the story with us.
No problem at all.
Yeah. Thank you, Edial Dekker.